So I'd like to ask all the panelists to say a few words about how profilometry has changed your specialty practices. Jesus, let's start with you, and then Brian.
Well, kind of going off of what Dr. Barnett just told us, before we used to get a patient, and obviously you consider the corneal issues, but you didn't know what the sclera looked like until you put the first lens. And then you see how that lens fits, where is it, you have some impingement or the other way around, and then you would change the lens. And now we do it the other way around. First, we obviously consider still the corneal situation, but we first take the fit. Then we know what kind of sclera we're dealing with in the right eye, what kind of sclera we're dealing with in the left eye, and then we go on from there. So that's been a big change in how we approach the patient.
Do you want me to talk about how it's changed my practice or how it's changed my life?
Let's start with your life.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, can I talk dirty a minute?
It is
Vegas. We're in Vegas, yeah.
Seriously, yeah, we're in Vegas. But we're going to talk money because ultimately, not only are we clinicians, but we're businessmen as well. And what it's done is it's changed and enhanced the level of time and value time that we can spend with the patients because it gives the information quicker, more efficiently, and just that kind of 5 minutes of taking those examinations has cut down a lot of the experimental. And during COVID, I remember watching a lot of the gods, some of whom were in the room, talking about how to minimize fitting trial times, etc., minimize trial lenses. And that's what it does. So it's life-changing for us, and that becomes life-changing for the patient.
And that's a benefit for the patient. The patient don't want to stay in your office for 3 hours, putting on 5 different lenses while you figure it out.
Exactly.
There's a little loss of credibility. Melissa?
So, Don Ezekiel is here with us in spirit, right? I'm sure he's in Australia just smiling, but on our Globalized podcast, he said, do better, right? Do better for our patients. And we have the opportunity to do better with scleroprofilometry. So I've had many patients come in and they're happy. They're happy. Their vision is good. Their comfort is good. I look at their eyes with and without the lens. There's no staining. Everything looks great. But now we have the opportunity to do better. So I can design a lens that they have better vision, better comfort. Are we going to talk about multifocal sclerals? I hope so. We can provide better vision at all distances with scleroprofilometry.
Dr. Morrison.
Some of the questions that have been coming in since I arrived after our Scleral Society workshop yesterday are surround practice management. So I thought I would just take this opportunity to share some key points in our practice in regards to how profilometry and technology in general can benefit your practices. One important area is the tech is impressive to patients, and so we actually use it almost as a practice builder to enhance the whole patient experience along the way. Patients in our office absolutely love the process of being able to see on a big screen their full ocular shape so that we can explain to them. If I'm putting you in a higher cost freeform or impression-driven lens, these are my evidence-based reasons for why we would ask you to go down that path. And these are the reasons why we would maybe choose a different lens design. Patients buy into the process more when they're involved, just like anything. And so as a practice builder, using the tech to be impressive in our marketing attracts patients to our clinic. We get patients that come, find out that we're one of few centers in our area, which is growing exponentially in regards to the technology kind of running through as we have more time and better education and everything is advancing. At one point, corneal topography was fairly novel, and not every specialty fitter had it, and look at us now. So we use it in our office as a practice builder and also just as something to kind of make sure that patients can follow along the process. And then number 2, staff training. I use profilometry to speed up everything for me in the clinic. And so I don't actually, once I've evaluated a patient's history and had a quick word with them, we can actually have our staff use the data from the ESP to select a starting lens, put it on their eye. I don't even see the patient for any of that process until that's all done, and that saves me a ton of time, and I can see more patients within my schedule.
Aaron.
Hard to follow all of that. Well said. So I'm going to piggyback on a little bit of each of, I guess, what y'all have mentioned. So From a practice management standpoint, I've also noticed that it's helped my relationship with my corneal specialist in town. So there's a little bit better communication regarding shared patients. I've noticed an increase in referrals. One, knowing that I have that technology, but this is also information the corneal specialist doesn't have. I mean, they look at the cornea, but you send back a scleral profilometry, that's not something they're used to seeing. So you're providing them some information that they didn't previously have. For efficiency, I would totally agree with just less time in the office. It's easier to delegate, just like Sheila mentioned. You run a scan with the results of the scan, depending on which scleral lens you like to use, which at this point is actually most of the scleral lenses that pretty much any of us use. You can actually select a starting point lens if you do want to continue to do an in-person fit. If you find that that's somehow more efficient. I personally don't do it that way. I just basically empirically order, which is also I believe more efficient than it used to be. But also just fewer visits to the office. So, Tom, you mentioned, hey, nobody wants to be there for 3 hours. Well, also, nobody wants to come back 5 times. So what you're trying to do, and as your practice grows, which if you're here at the conference, your interest is in growing your practice, whether it's just your skills in the practice or growing your business component of the practice. But as your practice grows, the time that you can afford to each of these patients is going to diminish. So you're going to have to find ways to become more efficient, and the Eaglet is the best way I've found to get there.
Melissa?
Yeah, so Aaron, just some great points there, which reminded me of a patient right now who, this is a patient who came to me with end-stage glaucoma, and he did not want a glaucoma surgery because he was fit elsewhere by scleral lenses. He was afraid he couldn't wear scleral lenses. And I said, oh no, there's so many things that we could do. But we could do profilometry, we could do impression-based, we could do all these things. So I'm having that conversation now with the patient and the glaucoma surgeon, and just having the conversation that we have this technology that can help you in so many unique ways that the glaucoma surgeon had no idea about. Mm-hmm. So great point.
Good point.